Us, abandoned ship. We're not caring about this car. We're thinking about the next year.
Exit clauses, yada, yada, yada.
Hulkenberg is the blue shell right now. Angle grinder guy, he gets a raise.
There you go.
Whoa.
He gets both salaries.
There you go.
What are they doing with the 5th and 6th seats?
Yeah, it's just Weenie Hut Formula One Junior now.
They don't fire up the same way that F1 cars do.
All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Tyred Boys podcast. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Aaron. Welcome back, everyone, after a summer break that felt longer than I expected it to. But there was a lot of motorsports action in the interim that we were able to keep up with. But man, I'm glad F1 is back. How about you, Justin?
Me too. It's been a long summer. I've been stuck in the Iraqi desert. I just got back, so it's great to be back for some racing. Because yeah, like you said, it's been a long summer without Formula One. We've had some good IndyCar races, in the interim. So excited to get into all of it. But yeah, just really happy to be back. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. I'm excited, so I'll dive right into the quick hitters. We've got quite a few, so I want to kind of keep moving through that. First off, we'll start off with a quick update on the Jarno Opmeer F1 Esport race win at Silverstone, where he goes to the pit lane under safety car, wins the race crossing first. He ends up getting a post-race penalty, but the other thing that I thought was interesting was he also received a penalty point to his esports F1 license for the incident, which I felt was a bit extreme. I kind of understand if they're going to give the penalty and everything, but to also tack on a penalty point when it was not something that was really intended to be like against the spirit of competition and everything. He tried to take an advantage of something. They said, nope, you can't do that. That should have kind of been the end of it, in my opinion. But he gets a penalty point as well. I'm sure it won't matter too much overall, but just something funky, I thought, with that decision that they decided to add that on at the end.
Yeah, I'm curious, under what precedence basically they give that point out. But yeah, maybe they yeah, well, not maybe, obviously they don't view so favorably as we might the big brainedness of the move, right?
And
Go
I
ahead.
mean it reminds me, and this was something that someone else had brought up in some of the discussions around it, but they talked about in one of the NASCAR races, I think it was last year, where one of the drivers on the last race to qualify for the playoffs had to pass like 10 guys on the last lap to get there. And he just sent it and rode the wall through past enough people to qualify for the playoffs. And they like afterwards made a rule that was like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. But they didn't penalize him for making that decision in the moment or anything. So that I think is the way I would lean, like, hey, you guys didn't think about this for the rule. Like he did. So even if you negate this, the penalty point just seems a little excessive to like throw that in. I don't know if it might just be due to the way they have their regulations, like certain penalties receive X amount of penalty points. But I found that just kind of interesting that they tacked that on there.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess it's just to, further discourage, other drivers from doing like the same or similar types of like cheese strategies. Yeah, dude, that's interesting bringing up the NASCAR point. I remember us talking about that. Yeah, just like the wall ride slingshot around the other cars. Yeah, that's a good example. But yeah, it interesting to hear the Otmir penalty update.
Yeah, so moving right along to GB3, little bit of news. Abby Pulling became the first woman to be on the podium in GB3 over the past, I guess it was a little over a week ago at their race at Brands Hatch. So they had 3 races. She was in the top 10 on all 3 races, and then finished on the podium in P3 for the third race of that. So pretty exciting for her to be there on the podium. Seeing kind of where she goes from F1 Academy and how she might be able to continue her open wheel racing and all is pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to, as we get more of these women who are champions of F1 Academy or have find success there, seeing kind of how they take that in open wheel racing forward. So definitely exciting to see her get that first podium.
Yeah, especially continuing, like you were saying, the success of her Formula One Academy run, and it sounds like just breaking down barriers as well in the next series that she's racing in. So really happy for Abby Pulling to hear she's getting so much success. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so GB3 is a Great British open wheel championship, single seater open wheel championship. So it's one of those regional things that oftentimes drivers will drive in prior to going to like Formula 3 and then Formula 2. So it'll be interesting to see if there's progression similar to some of these other F3, F2 drivers for her as well. Finding a little bit of success there in the GB3 series. Um, Moving over to NASCAR that we had over the past, we had the Watkins Glen, but we also had Daytona over this break. And Daytona was pretty exciting with some late full course cautions and restarts. They ended up with a mad dash to the finish, 1 lap to finish it, and the top 4 drivers were all within 49 thousandths of a second from each other with the finish, the photo finish at the line and everything. You've got so many cars backed up. You've got 8 cars just visible within that photo finish like range there. With the third car length back just kind of slowly sneaking in, but very exciting race, and it's the closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history for that, like the gap for the top 4. So pretty crazy stuff there at Daytona under the lights.
Damn, dude, NASCAR merch about to go so hard. They're gonna have like, panoramic banners. That's gonna be like on every, like long what would you call it? Uh it's landscape and portrait, right? So like a
Panorama, yeah,
wider, yeah,
yeah.
panorama. So like a wider type banner and stuff like that. Like
Oh yeah.
on cups and flags and all that sort of stuff. Like that's what you live for, that type of racing.
Well, and the racing excitement could only have been kind of snowballed by one person there at Daytona. It was our boy Kyle Larson who caused the big wreck that led to this final lap restart and everything. So if he hadn't taken out so many drivers and caused this big incident, then we wouldn't have been able to have such a tight finish at the end there. So thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it. Nice job there. Truly the GOAT.
The greatest of our generation not only brings exciting racing himself, but he also knows when to take a back seat and say like, let's have some cinema going here. So he'll
Absolutely.
take the
Let
fall.
some other guys get that highlight reel moment and everything. Just setting them up for success there. So big things from Kyle, but over still in NASCAR, but the Xfinity series. At the Watkins Glen race, we saw after winning the race, Connor Zilish, who's one of the rookie drivers there in Indy Xfinity. I believe he's a rookie. They're in the Indy NXT series, or sorry, NASCAR. I'm skipping ahead. Uh, Gets his foot caught up in his window, getting out of the car in the mesh that covers the window, falls, breaks his collarbone. Ends up getting emergency surgery on the collarbone, like he was okay and everything. But then goes on to win He has 2 weeks off, but then goes on to win the next race at Daytona for the Xfinity Cup Series, and then the following race in Portland. So wins one, breaks his collarbone, and then comes back to win the next two races. That's pretty impressive, and he is now leading the NASCAR Xfinity Series championship as well after those 3 race wins here.
Yeah, it's a tough clip, and obviously, it's happened a bit ago. There's no joke that I could make that would be like funny at this point. So yeah, just kind of like happy he's relatively okay. But it is a clip you may want to go check out Twitter for, try and find on the YouTube. It is kind of funny. There's like the immediate reaction, and then people realize like, oh, he's knocked out, like we got to get this guy some help.
Yeah.
So like it's a bit comical knowing now that he's like gone on to just like, continue his success, right? And that he's all right. But it is just a ridiculous look at the end of this race.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean these drivers are climbing out of their cars that way every time. So it's just a kind of a freak accident. What is kind of crazy to me though, looking at him across this NASCAR Xfinity Cup series, is that he has 8 race wins. Um, to second place has 3 race wins, and he's only 20 points up overall. He has more top fives, more top tens, same number of DNFs, and like for somehow the points to shake out that it's only a 20-point gap there. I'm like, that's pretty wild for 8 wins on the season, and kind of dominating so far in that NASCAR Xfinity series. Um, but yeah, he also announced that he's going to be, or that he was signed by Trackhouse Racing to move to the NASCAR Cup Series for next year. So all of the success and everything in the NASCAR Xfinity Series has led to that very quick jump up to the full NASCAR Cup Series for next year.
Oh wow, that's quite exciting. Damn, good for him.
Yeah, so just kind of interesting with all the news that he's been in recently. Some of the other racing that was going on during the break, we had MotoGP, we had a couple of races, and just the dominance that we're seeing in MotoGP this year is pretty extreme. So if you are not a fan of this current McLaren domination, if you did not like the 2023 season with Max winning 20 of 23 races or whatever, don't look over to MotoGP, because we've got Mark Marquez over there. He has won 21 out of 26 races, I believe, on the season. This might be actually a little bit behind. I think it might be 23 out of 28 at this point. He has won the sprint race and the feature race at the last 7 Grand Prix that they've had. So 7 weeks in a row where he is on top for both portions of the race weekend. It's pretty insane level of dominance that you don't really get to see too frequently, and especially in MotoGP, I feel like there are a lot of very good drivers that are often competing for those top spots, but this year Mark Marquez has just been extremely dominant, has not had mechanical issues or anything to knock him down in the past little stretch here.
I feel like we're in an alien era where everywhere you look, every like sport, arena you look, there is some individual or some group of individual that is just or feels like just heads and above the other people in their same series. Like there are like as you're talking, there are so many names that are popping into my head that are just absolute freaks in their craft, and like Mark Marquez is just one of them. I mean, top of the mind, obviously, Kyle Larson.
Of
But like
course.
you could just like go down the list, right? So yeah, Mark Marquez, 7 race weekends in a row, both the sprint and the feature. Bro, that's crazy. And that's like MotoGP is the top two-wheel series,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
So I
mean,
mean, there's like World Superbike, which is kind of a side series that has some really strong drivers as well. It's different kinds of motorcycles and everything, but MotoGP is kind of the direct comparison to like F1 because they have Moto 2 and Moto 3 lower
okay,
series and all as well.
okay, gotcha. But yeah, we're just in an alien era, man.
We are. I feel like yeah, there's been a lot of history that I've seen of different motorsports, and there's different drivers who are bouncing around. There's been some domination here and there, but recently, yeah, in there's been some stretches of dominance, I guess, by some different drivers across the series. So definitely um, pretty wild one right now over in MotoGP. Right now, Mark Marquez has 455 points, 10 race wins, 12 podiums, uh, compared to P2 Alex Marquez, who is 280 points. So just 175 points back in the championship here. One race win and seven podiums for him. So it's just pretty wild right now what he's doing there, but very exciting to see if you're looking for good motorcycle racing. So pretty fun stuff.
Hell yeah, I love to hear that.
And then we'll move over to towards IndyCar. We'll jump into the Indy NXT series. Dennis Hauger, former Formula 2 driver, became the champion and rookie of the year, clinching the title just a couple of weeks ago here. And then the rookie of the year being the top finishing rookie in the standings, being the champion and all. But he's also getting that opportunity to jump up to the next series, Juncos Racing. It sounds like we'll be having Dennis Hauger on loan from Andretti Global for the 2026 IndyCar season. So a very quick jump from that F2 to Indy NXT and then up to the IndyCar series. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do. He's looked very good in the series so far in the lower series, so that's pretty exciting for one of those F2 drivers for 2026 when there's all these conversations about Colton Herta potentially going to F2 to make it into Formula 1 to get the necessary super license points and everything. So kind of interesting to see, especially that super license point system is just very flawed as we continue to see. You and I have talked about it a number of times anytime this comes up for IndyCar drivers and Formula One. But yeah, seeing a Formula Two driver go over there to the Indy feeder series and be successful is definitely something interesting to keep an eye on.
Yeah, the super license is like very prohibitive to be able to get, but also sometimes they'll just hand them out because what I guess Toto gave them a call. So yeah, quite odd in some regard. Colton Herta has been a name that we've had our eye on for a long time. In the like IndyCar to Formula One crossover, that'd be an interesting route to go. Like go into like even though he is like a seasoned racer in his career, going down to a junior formula to kind of get the street cred as it were. To hopefully, and then here's the Jedi level move though is he's putting himself like in the window shop because he likely understands that like the opportunities to actually get a seat have to coincide with a bunch of other things, right? All right, let me put myself in Formula 2. We can ride it out, get in with Helmut Marko. He'll just drop one of the rookies really quickly. I'll get in mid-season, one of these type scenarios. So yeah, the F2 like that's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think that it is going to happen, but um there's been conversation, and he's only 25 years old, so he's still like in that kind of mid range for the F1 drivers and everything right now. So, um, and actually, let me
Yo, the
see.
average age has never been higher.
Uh, has it though? I feel
I,
like it's gotta, yeah.
come on, are you really gonna stick on that? Come on, you know what I'm
What?
saying? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
No, I know what you.
just
No,
like
sorry,
a
sorry.
flyaway point.
I
You're
thought
like,
you
wait,
were like,
really?
sorry. I was.
No, Lewis is 100, Alonso's 100, Hulkenberg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. We do have some seasoned vets out there on the grid, but yeah, no,
Bro,
that
you were
makes.
about to start Googling oldest grid.
Well, no, because I was also looking at the. There's still reports that Colton Herta might join Prima for next year in Formula Two, and that would
Oh.
could because the I guess the connection would be Colton Herta in IndyCar, Andretti being involved with Cadillac, so him getting into F2, like getting better understanding of those kinds of cars, and then maybe jumping up, but yeah, very interesting to see that crossover the other way. But I'm curious to wait on that announcement whether that actually happens or not with Colton Herta sliding over to Formula Two for next year. That would be kind of crazy because I feel like his salary has to be pretty decent right now to jump to a series where it's more of a paid position to be racing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he would prefer, but it's funny that we've gotten all the way to Will Power. Just to kind of sum up that point, we were talking about Dennis Hauger, champ, rookie of the year, getting the Yunko Strive for 2026.
Yeah.
We also have the IndyCar finale as well. Palou locking up that third title.
Yeah, he going out there doing some nice donuts out on the circuit after the final race of the season. I think it's well deserved, very strong season. He had the 8 wins and then finished P2 in like the last two races, if not three. I can't remember what he finished in. He finished P3 in Portland. So yeah, finishing out the year P3, P2, P2 is pretty strong way to finish.
Yeah, I agree. Ending on two ovals. So you know, pretty intense end to the season. We saw in the one race, you know, you know, I think the headlines around the crash were a little more intense than the actual like clip was. It was more of just like a slide went into the wall. You know, it
Yeah.
was like it was high speed, but again, you can just see the driver so secure in the like
Oh
in the
yeah.
seat and in the safety cell. You know, had to get checked out obviously, but all was okay. So yeah, fans of IndyCar were definitely enjoying those oval battles, especially the last one with the New Garden win. You know, him and Plo
Mm.
going head to head for like for a good portion of the race. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, and in the race prior to like Pillow, it was a super exciting finish in Milwaukee. We had um Pillow stay out on track with like 10 laps to go on a full course caution, where Christian Rasmussen uh pits onto the soft tires for the last stint, and he was back in like 12th or something for the last 10 laps or so, but just was flying through the field on the new tires, gets past Pillow with the new rubber, and takes his first win in IndyCar. So pretty exciting way to win, and I feel like Pillow made the right and his team made the right call to stay out. You kind of don't anticipate um, that kind of drive at the end of the race, but Rasmussen just was flying through on the way to win there. So pretty exciting last couple of races, and then the unfortunate thing where IndyCar season ends and you have 6 months until there's any more IndyCar racing. It's just an extremely long off season for the IndyCar series, so maybe in the future they'll figure out a way to maybe add a couple races or just spread out the season a little bit more, because that's a just a um massive off season for, I feel like, any professional sport. I don't feel like most professional sports really have much more than maybe 4 months at a time.
Yeah, and I'm curious how they factor in the spread out schedule for the IndyCar 500, because that eats up like a lot of time, right? There's
Mm,
multiple sessions over multiple weeks, so I'm sure that so I'm sure that has to factor in. But yeah, six months in between, the end of a season and the kickoff of a season. That's a long time. But thank gosh there's some other good racing in between. We've still got Formula One going on, still able to catch some MotoGP. So yeah, all good stuff. But yeah, 6 months. That's kind of crazy in the world of 24/7.
yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it's good that we're not an IndyCar podcast, because that break would be a bit too long for me. I love talking about IndyCar during the episodes, but yeah, that would be too much of an off season for me from doing this and getting to talk motorsports. But the final quick hitter here is just a little note about Max driving other cars. He is looking or rumored to potentially enter into a doubleheader the September 13th, 14th weekend between the Italian Grand Prix and the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, which would allow him to potentially next year drive in that 24 hours of Nürburgring that doesn't conflict with the F1 schedule. So it would be interesting to see. I'd love to see him get an opportunity to actually race in one of those other series after seeing how well he did in just those Nürburgring tests. I think that would be pretty cool. So I'm keeping an eye out for whether that actually happens that September 13th, 14th weekend.
Yeah, I think any chance to see Max do his thing, whether it's an F1 car, whether it's a sim race, whether it's a longer 24-hour race, yeah, that's just good racing as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that for what you said, the 24 hours of the Nürburgring coming up next year because of like a schedule gap.
Yeah, so him getting this opportunity to race in the Nürburgring series, I think would get him whatever qualifications or whatever um, checklist he needs to be able to race in that 24-hour race next year. But still, I'd be curious just to see how he does in that race as well
For sure.
at the Nürburgring. So pretty exciting. But that wraps out the quick hitters here. Now over to Do You Work Here. We finally, it felt like it was being just teased for ages and ages. We officially have the Cadillac lineup. We've got Checo Perez, we've got Valtteri Bottas. What are your thoughts on this veteran lineup for the Cadillac squad?
Yeah, I just think it's crazy that Taylor Swift never would have thought that she would have gotten hold up, I'ma let you finish twice in her career. She's like, yo, I've got an engagement. Yo, check out my album. Bam, Cadillac rolls through and it's just like, yo, what's up? Check out our lineup. Just every feed, literally like Good Morning America. Bro, even my mom was like, I heard Cadillac, they're gonna be in Formula One. Yo, if my mom is asking me about Cadillac, wild scenes.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty
they
hilarious.
definitely nailed, the rollout. Even though everybody has known for, let's be reasonable, like about a month or so. The rumor mill swirled pretty hard, and when the drain all spun out, there were only two names at the end of it. So yeah, happy to finally get the announcement. Just seeing all the media roll out was just good classic fun. But yeah, seeing also like some of the memes around it, yeah, just all good stuff. So happy to finally get the announcement, but my mind will not like it won't embellish at all. They are P22 and P21. We know
Yeah.
this.
I mean, yeah, most likely. The I saw some people trying to give themselves they were going over the esports arena and grabbing some of the hopium to try and boost up their thoughts, and they're like, oh, back when Braun GP entered and they joined in and raced their first season, they won the championship, could be Cadillac. And it's like, no, because Braun GP took over a $500 million Honda project that was going on in Formula One and that they bailed out of. So Braun just kind of took over a pretty, like, they were not starting from scratch by any
Gotcha.
means. Um, when they came in and won that championship in 2009, I believe it was. But yeah, a pretty interesting thing to think about. But yeah, I imagine 21st, 22nd locked in. We will some of the other memes that I was seeing was we'll find out who the second driver of all second drivers is, because both of these guys have been there next to the two most winning world champions currently on the grid here. Um, Checo being there with Max, and then Valtteri, of course, with Lewis at Mercedes. So pretty pretty tough competition for who's going to be the real second driver. But yeah, I'm excited to have both of them back in Formula One. I'm interested to see with the new regulations how things shake out, but I imagine that they will, yeah, shake down to the bottom of the barrel in most instances here.
Bro, I would love to be wrong, honestly. Like this
Oh
is
yeah.
this is one of the things I would love to be wrong in that regard. But yeah, those are just like my true honest thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be, as far as like who's the best second driver, I mean it's easily Valtteri. I'm pretty sure just on paper right now, I think Valtteri has 10 wins. I think Sergio is 3.
Yeah.
So
So it's so I have the stats here. Checo had 281 races. He had 39 podiums, 6 wins,
6
1,600.
wins.
Yeah, 1,638 points. Valtteri had 246 races, so 35 less races. He's had 67 podiums, almost double Checo's, 10 race wins, and 1,797 points there. So yeah, pretty similar careers though overall. Like Mercedes was definitely a bit more dominant as a whole for those years with Valtteri. So I'd say they're relatively close, but I would lean Valtteri as the what?
Who has the hopium? It must be you. You got to turn it
No,
down. You got to crack a window.
no, not at all. Because I imagine that there's a number of those wins for Valtteri that are off of like Lewis DNFs and things like that. There's definitely some, like, I think it's a lot close. 6 to 10 is not that far when it comes to race wins when you have like a dominant car.
Fair.
Yeah. Like that, I mean, max 120 in a season. Like I know it's max and that was an extremely dominant car, but at the same time, um I, like I said, I lean Valtteri, but I'm curious. I feel like it's a similar length of career and everything. They've both gone through similar kind of trajectory in terms of who they've raced for and everything. Um, and all set with Valtteri starting with Williams. Checo, I forget whether he was initially with Racing Point or where he came in initially at, but yeah, there's a lot of like similarities, I guess, in their careers being the next man up for a couple of very talented drivers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just excited to see him back on track. I think it'll be great.
Yeah, but the one thing for Valtteri, I believe he is still gonna have to serve a 5 place grid penalty on his first race back, because it was under previous regulations. So he's gonna start from P19, or qualify P19, start P20, and or sorry, qualify P21, start P22. I'm not used to that yet. It'll take a little bit of time to get used to the 22 grid positions, but yeah, it'll be tough looks that first race back.
Yeah, Cadillac is good. Cadillac is life. 22 means greater competitiveness. Just start repeating this before you go to bed in your head as you're brushing your teeth. You'll get used to it.
Some nice mantras.
Yep.
I did find it funny though as we jump here into the around the water cooler though that you were like, yes, excitement for America, and I was like, Haas is American. We do have an American
Well,
team.
yeah, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. I think we gave a lot of love to Gunter Steiner. We were Mick Schumacher apologists for a long time. I think we were waving the flag.
Yeah, I mean, no, we've definitely, but you were like, yeah, Cadillac, America. I'm like, America's already here.
Oh, bro, I'm just trolling. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It
and as far as brand recognition, I mean, let's be
oh yeah.
honest. Like you only really know Haas if you like have honestly like not even like a general understanding of like just some motor sports brands. That's like maybe like one
Yeah.
layer deeper that you would know like a Gene Haas and a Haas racing team. If you're
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
like, if you're just like a layman in the world. So I think Cadillac has way more brand
Oh
recognition,
no.
especially bringing in
100%.
like a General Motors and all of these things. So, I wasn't the only one making the like
No, and
like
I saw
ignoring the Haas thing.
oh no. I saw it on Twitter a bunch too, and that's what it was what people were like, wait, everyone's like all excited, like, America in Formula One, and
It's
then
like
they're
they're already
like,
here.
yeah. So no, you're not the only one. But no, there is a lot more weight behind the Cadillac name than there is behind Haas. So I hope that I mean, if there are some race weekends like we had this week in Zandvoort, it's very possible that they won't finish at the back of the grid. Things can get shaken up very easily. Overall standings, maybe not so much, but here and there we might get to see some Cadillac. I hope we get some Cadillac points next year. That would be what I'm looking for. I think
If
it's
that's not the
doable.
most reasonable thing I've ever heard, yeah, fair. I'm actually with you on that. Let's do the third what are the odds of the year. Let's throw it down. What are the odds Cadillac gets points next year? Give it to me.
um, I'll give it 55%
55%.
that they get points. I
Cadillac gets points.
I think that I just believe that even with a new project and everything, maybe with the regulations change, there might be enough wiggle room for them to sneak in there once or twice with a crazy weekend. I feel like it's doable. Um, so yeah, that I'll give it a 55. What would you have given it if you were gonna give it a rating?
I think the hopium tanks might be loose over here too, because I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm gonna say the odds of Cadillac getting points next year, 35%. Maybe
Okay.
I'm underrating how much the like regulation change is going to maybe like hamstring teams and cause like shakeups. Maybe like I myself am underrating that. So yeah, I'll say 35% Cadillac gets points, and So I've got it listed here. We'll be able to check back. We'll be able to check back next year and see how we did. That's like a little far looking into the future. But yeah, I'll just take this time here to say, like, let us know. Let us know in the comments what you think the percentage of Cadillac getting points next year might be. Like we said, a little far off, but happy to join the conversation. If you haven't, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Let us know what you think of the show. We just really appreciate having you here, and thank you for listening.
Absolutely. We're excited. Check us out on anywhere you look for your podcasts. If you want the video, go on YouTube. Keep an eye out for any TikToks that we're putting out throughout the season as well. So um, we'll we appreciate you all, and we look forward to putting these out week after week with races. But yeah, back to the episode.
Yeah, just wanted to like throw just some funny things. Obviously, we've been talking about them a little bit, so I won't keep this. But the conversations and like the photo edits, you see in like the emo album cover photos of Charles Leclerc on the dunes, like just the loneliest photographs you've ever seen of him just sitting out there like with his car just like marooned in the back. The ones that really like got me chuckling were the Zach Brown favoritism memes, where
Oh
like
yeah.
for Piastri winning, he like it's the like good for you, happy for you, those things, but like he really wants Lando to be winning, like that type of deal. So just like, dude, the fans are just so funny. Honestly, the fans of Formula One are so funny. They literally just have me howling.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love seeing the conversation around the races. There's like a video shorts that you've been sharing that you really like. So just like the funny edits that people make around the races just have me cracking up.
I mean, and it's one that gets pulled out way more often than it should, but one of my favorite like all-time recurring memes for Formula 1 is there's a chef that is wearing Ferrari gear holding a gun towards himself, loading raviolis into the chambers. And that one gets me every time.
Yeah, where he's
Just
saying "Mamma Mia."
yeah, just the pasta finito is a pretty good one there, but I mean even the F1 Twitter account like posted a thing about Charles aura farming like his DNF with all these emo pictures of him up in the dunes, and I feel like unfortunately it's one of those instances where it would have taken him forever to get back to the pit lane from where he was marooned. So he's just kind of stuck there. Unfortunately, not the good old days where post race he maybe could have hopped and ridden on the side pod of someone's car back to the pits. So he's just stuck out there. Um, the one meme that I sent you guys of him and Lando and Lewis all having a picnic in the dunes. I was cracking up, but yeah, a tough weekend. You got to find some humor in it if you're a fan
Oh, for
of
sure.
some of these guys that had a tougher time.
Mamma Mia. That's so good.
It's yeah, that one gets me, and it's been recurring enough that I'm always keeping an eye out for it. um but before we get into the rest of the F1 race weekend, we did have F1 Academy as well here. So Dutch Grand Prix for F1 Academy, Maya Vogue qualified on pole with Alicia Palmowski and Ella Lloyd in P2 and P3 respectively. With the reverse grid in race one. Um, I think it's Nikki Gademan. But Gademan, who is a Dutch driver here in F1 Academy, goes on to win from the sprint pole position. A really solid drive under pressure at a couple of different points throughout the race, but um, she had kind of a mixed bag weekend earlier in the weekend. She was not able to drive in practice session two, but ends up coming into this first race, taking the win there. Maya Vogue as well had a great race, kind of making her way through the field up to P3 to make it on the podium in that first race of the weekend.
Dude, just hearing her radio message at the end of the race, like coming on with it when they, I think she realized, like, she knew she had won. It wasn't, like her radio saying, like, you got the dub or whatever. She was just going crazy. The post race interview, like, just full of emotion. She was super happy. The fans going nuts. So yeah, I think if you were, from, or what should I say? If you were at the Dutch Grand Prix, you were definitely loving that first race there. Because Nina Gaiman, she killed
Yes.
it.
Nina, yeah. And so yeah, pretty exciting, especially for home race and everything to get that win. In race two though, it was a very strong race from Maya Vogue. She got out in front and pretty much dominated that. But there was a good bit of fighting further back in the field with Alicia Palmowski, Dorian Pan, Ella Lloyd, kind of all duking it out for that 2, 3, and 4 position. Ella Lloyd finishes P2, but with the 5-second penalty, drops to P4. Chloe Chambers, unfortunately, did not start. So, one of those other competitors for the championship right now. Just a tough weekend for her overall, not getting to start. I think she was P4 on the grid going into that second race, but yeah, unfortunately, not able to pick up any points there in race two on the weekend.
Yo, and she was despondent when she made it back to the grid. The images coming out of, like, her and her race engineer, she's like rubbing her on the back, helmet still on, because like you were describing, super close at the top. The good thing is for Chloe Chambers, she's a really good qualifier, so she is often giving herself good opportunities, like to make well in the race, but just not being able to get off the line, just like not even being able to play. That's got to be really tough, especially, like, we're hammering on it. It's so close at the top where this event could mean that she, like, won't get enough opportunities to close on them and, like, really make it a fight. So you could definitely understand Chloe Chambers feeling like, she's out of it, that, like, this sucks, and all of these things. So tough to see in that regard. I think it was a good race overall.
Mm.
um I really enjoyed the battle between Palmofsky and Ella Lloyd. Like we were saying, she got the penalty, but I think it was like the first maybe like 12 laps or so. They were battling pretty heavy, just in and out. We know the slow to medium, or I guess low to medium speed turns of Zandvoort. You can just
Mm.
get the in and out. There's a bunch of different lines that you can try. So yeah, Ella Lloyd and Palmofsky really going at it, I think, was the highlight of race two.
Yeah, and so I completely agree. I feel like they both drove really well, and it's fun on a circuit like that to see how the tires kind of hold up throughout the race, because there's these moments where uh, it does settle down for a little bit, but then you'll see a driver who's maybe got their tires in a little bit of a better window come charging back up through to take on some of these fights again, or maybe sitting back early in the race, coming on late. But very good fighting throughout, and a pretty big weekend for Maya Vogue and Dorian Pan as well, getting the P3 with the Ella Lloyd penalty. Dorian's 20 points up here in the championship now on Maya Vogue, and then Chloe Chambers is just 14 points back, 2 race weekends to go with Singapore and Las Vegas for the F1 Academy grid. So there's still, I think, about 70 points up for grabs if you win um, each of the sprint and feature races, maybe a little bit more. So there's um, still a little bit of room to catch up, but it's definitely running out quickly, especially with some of the consistency that you're seeing from these top drivers.
Yeah, especially from Dorian Pan and Maya Vogue, their downtime is, like, very, very low.
Yeah,
like where they're not like scoring points.
yeah, they've both been on some pretty strong runs over the last stretch here. Um so yeah, definitely still to play for, but it's going to be tougher for Chloe Chambers to make her way back up there here at the end of the season. Um but yeah, that brings us here into the Dutch Grand Prix Formula 1 weekend. And so we have the hot seat for the Dutch Grand Prix.
Bro, and I've got a good one for you. I was trying to find glimmers of hope in what is at some points a pretty tough history to read about Zandvoort, very similar to Spa. It is marred with a lot of high speeds, so we lost a lot of great racers on the circuit. So yeah, just want to kind of pay our respects to them going into the hot seat, because as you learn about the Zandvoort circuit and the Grand Prix, it's yeah, it's got a long history. So I'm excited to get into it. But it's like kind of a wild circuit. You look at it now, it's like winding through the dunes and the hills. It has more character, I think, than many of the tracks that you'll see on the Formula One circuit. With now like the new layouts, the camber that they have on the turns. Specifically, I think it's turn 3. That's
Yeah, it's the big
the bank
banking.
section.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a really complex circuit with like just as complex of a history. So I was excited learning about it. I'm excited to get into it here today. So Aaron, are you ready to get into the hot seat?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Question 1, we're going to start off real easy. This is more for me than for you. So question number 1, in which country is the Dutch Grand Prix located? Is it A, Belgium, B, Netherlands, or C, Denmark?
This would be B, the Netherlands.
Very good. You are correct, sir. I'm poisoned with America brain, where if it's not China speaks, Chinese, Italian speak Italian, where the letters match. If it's not that for me, I may have trouble learning it. Question number 2: a circuit with a tumultuous history was brought back to the calendar in 2021 after a long hiatus. What year was the Dutch Grand Prix first brought to the F1 World Championship? Was it A, 1896? Was it B, 1935? Or was it C, 1952?
I'm going to go with C, 1952.
You are correct, sir. 1952 is, I believe, the 4th year of FIA Formula One, but it's not the first time, obviously, that the track was there. Now,
Hmm.
question number 3. The hairpin at turn 1 has many stories as to its naming, one of which involves a vegetable growing local trading his goodwill for naming a corner after him. So effectively, what's the name of the turn 1 hairpin? Is it A, Tarzan, B, Pumbaa, or C, Olaf?
I'll go with C, Olaf.
You're incorrect, sir. It's A, Tarzan corner.
Oh, okay.
Question
Interesting.
number 4. The record for most overtakes in one race was broken at Zandvoort in 2023 as the rain came down. How many overtakes were in the 2023 race? Was it A, 73? Was it B, 117? Or was it C, 186?
And this is the overall record or the record for this circuit?
I believe it's the overall record.
Ooh. Um, I'll go with B.
117. That's a fair guess. 186 is hard to fathom, but C is the correct answer.
Wow. That's wild.
It is wild. And like you can see like the start and the with like the way the pit timings go,
Mhm.
it's like it's wild, right? So
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
question C, 186, and then question number 5. Max Verstappen has won here many times at home as an incredible feat for him individually. But who was the first Dutchman to win a Formula One race? Is it A, Nick de Vries, B, Joost Verstappen, or C, Max Verstappen?
I'm gonna go with C, Max Verstappen.
You nailed it. Max Verstappen, the first Dutchman to win a Formula One race. You nailed it. So
So
you're
3 out of
you're
5.
3 for 5. This
That's
was a tough
okay.
one. This was a tough one. We'll improve next time. We'll know way more for Zandvoort next year. No worries. But yeah, 3 out of 5. We definitely got to improve on that.
Yeah, the Olaf sounds like it could be a Dutch name, so that definitely got me over Tarzan. But yeah, not my best showing, but not too bad. I'll take a 3 for 5 and just bounce back for next time. Um, but moving from the hot seat, we've got some salacious headlines for this week. So Justin, why don't you hit me with the first one here?
All right, I think this is the top story coming out of the weekend. No matter what fan you're, or no matter what team you're a fan of, no matter what driver you're a fan of, no matter what storylines you care about, very similar to the Hulkin podium. It's going to be where were you, right? So I think the biggest story, you see it on the front page. We see rookie rebels in promotion to the podium. So tell me about this, Aaron.
Yeah, so we had what started off as a very strong weekend for Isak Hajar. He qualifies in P4 there. But I think ahead of the race, there was a lot of conversation. Does he get caught by the Mercedes behind? It's a tough track to pass on. Is he going to be able to hold off? The Ferraris have looked like they've got some strong pace for the weekend. Hajar ends up holding on to that position. The Lando Norris DNF ahead of him pulls him up into the podium positions. But it was by no means just a cruise to P4 and then promotion to up to P3 there. He was putting on a lot of pressure onto Max throughout the race. He was constantly hanging in that 1.5 second behind gap to Max. Very, very strong defensive driving at points of the race to keep the Mercedes and Ferraris behind him and everything. So really nice drive from Hajar overall to get that first career podium and then break the trophy during the celebrations on accident. So yeah, they need to stop giving ceramic trophies to these drivers. I think is what I saw online. That sounds like the most reasonable decision. Medals.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that does seem like the way to go. You're just like having these people's like great pieces of like, racing memory. They spend a lot of time making them. So yeah, just to have them broken, just like during the celebrations, that's pretty tough. And yeah, for Isak Hadjar, he can't like put it up on his wall or anything. So that's really tough. But yeah, love seeing Hadjar make it to the podium. I mean, I was even telling, again, my mom, friend of the show, I was telling her about it, bro, and she was oohing and ahhing. I was telling her about like, start of the year, he's literally getting hugs from Lewis Hamilton's dad because like he does it like he doesn't even make it to the grid, right?
Yeah.
So she's like oohing and ahhing at the story of him, getting onto the podium, like mostly on merit. Like he had to battle against the drivers that were around him in the race. So I think that's really fair to say. So I'd love seeing him get his first podium. That was awesome.
Yeah, very very heartwarming story and exciting story for Hajar. He's still continued to make it out of Q1 every time across the season, of course, with that P4 qualifying, but that's his highest qualifying in Formula One so far. Just a really phenomenal lap that he was able to put out there and set him up for to be in a good position to be that next man up there with Lando DNFing. So moving over to the next headline there, I'll let you take that away.
Oh, word. So, second headline coming up on the front page. We've got championship cools at the summer's close. This one, a little unfortunate, where I think at this point in the season, when so many contenders have kind of fallen back off of the World Formula One Championship for the constructors, and then the Drivers' Championship being loosely between two drivers for the most part, unless Max can do some heroics. I think all we're really looking for at this point is just like competitive driving from as many people as possible on any given race day, right? And when a I it was a pretty good race. We had some offs causing some safety cars, meaning restarts, meaning possibility for shakeups, right? You don't want it to end in a mechanical failure where one of the championship contenders is he may not have been hunting for the win, but he was at least approaching pace and making a good show of it, right?
Yeah.
I think it may have happened a little too early to tell, but like he's P2, he's making a run at P1. Like what more do you want, right? And for him just to get taken out, it's like pretty frustrating in that regard. And my heart sinks as somebody who just really wants an Abu Dhabi finale between those two where it can go right up to the end, right? So that's what I I think in my mind's eye, that's what I saw when he's saying like I smell
Mhm.
smoke and all of these things. I'm like, does this just ice the championship right here? Like if Piastri continues and even if Norris gets P2 every race, but if Piastri wins every race, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm hoping for competitiveness moving forward. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still very easily could end up with going down to the final weekend. Lando has to get himself a little bit more consistent just with beating Oscar in qualifying, honestly, to put himself in that position. It's also, I imagine very easily could have been the other way around with that happening to Oscar, because a lot of the teams plan to take a new engine for the next race at Imola at the Italian Grand Prix. That's a very common spot. So I imagine Lando probably was going to take a new engine this next race and just whatever happened might have been just end of life kind of for that current engine that he had in the car. But I mean, it went from, instead of being just a 16-point gap, it's now up to a 34-point gap. You have, I think, 8 or 9 race weekends to go, so there's still plenty of time. But Lando has to win. I mean, it's a seven. If Lando wins and Oscar's P2, that's 7 point gain per race. That takes 5 races of Lando winning and Oscar P2 for Lando just to catch up in that points differential right now, to take the
There's the
lead.
math.
So
Mm-hmm.
if Oscar goes out there, um, all he pretty much has to, I mean, if as long as they're finishing P1 and P2, um, he just can't let Lando beat him in like 3 out of the next 9 races or something like that, and he should lock up the championship. So, as again, as long as they both are finishing P1 and P2, if it's just that 7 point gap each time. So, it
Sure.
could come down to it. I mean, you never know. Oscar could have an incident or something, but he's driven so consistently. I feel like that, without these mechanical DNFs coming into play, that might make it a little bit difficult for Lando to catch up. But it's by no means out of the question. There's still plenty of races to go. I
I'm gonna
know.
believe you. I'm gonna take heart in what you say.
I'm passing the hopium over that way. Yeah, I think it's still doable, but Lando has to really, like, if Lando wins the championship this year from where he's at now, it would truly be a champion's drive to get there, and I think he would 100% like show that he earned it by getting there, because it is so tight between the two of them when all goes to to the norm. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of racing to go, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. It is tough for Lando there, to have that DNF, that is not his fault, at this point in the championship, though.
I would big time agree. Yeah, how do you contend with somebody who wins a race and his first thought is about the candy? What do you do with somebody like that?
Give him some
I'm
candy.
yeah, I'm just messing around. So
Final
I'm only half the
headline.
conversation. What are your give me your headline.
Yeah, so final headline here, we've got just an incident, which is referring to Charles Leclerc's comment between him and Max Verstappen back in their karting days. But we had a number of incidents throughout the race here that bring up some conversation. We had the initial Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz contact, dropping them both down the field towards the back of the grid, um, ruining both of their races essentially, and kind of giving them issues throughout the rest with their cars. But I think looking back, I know initially my reaction was, hey, Carlos like shouldn't have hung it around the outside. But then looking back at the replays and everything, I've tempered it a little bit. I could see it as just a racing incident or just an incident there, because Carlos, although I don't think he should have tried to go around the outside, Liam was giving him enough space until he had a little bit of oversteer that caused him to kind of slide out a little bit further into Carlos there. So it was just kind of an unfortunate situation. I think without that little snap of oversteer that Liam had, he probably wouldn't have made contact with Carlos. Carlos maybe would have been able to bail out, because I still don't think he quite had the pace to get around Liam there. Or maybe we see some fighting through the next two corners to shake that out. But the disappointing thing, I guess, there, on top of Carlos's race being ruined, and Liam's as well, the two penalty points for Carlos, along with the 10-second penalty, like I said, I would have probably called it a racing incident. But the two penalty points, I think it's just if you receive a penalty for causing a collision, you get two penalty points automatically. I'm pretty sure is how it works. But the FIA was, I guess, told Carlos and his team there that they did not want to see him or talk to him about it after the race, which is a little bit weird because the FIA stewarding is supposed to have kind of an open door policy for drivers to come to them, get information, ask why they like what they could have done differently, X, Y, and Z, and discuss those things. But without him even having the opportunity to appeal the decision, or at least put in a complaint regarding that, they had kind of said, and he was told during his post race interview, that they were not interested in seeing him and talking to him about it, which I think is a little disappointing and maybe speaks to the FIA thinking they did make the wrong call there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, especially having to hear it from like the media pen around him. Not really coming from official channels. It's like a bit secondhand. So yeah, I think just like disappointing. Like even if they will fundamentally disagree, even if they're going to have a staunch position of like it honestly doesn't matter what you say. Like 2 points
Oh
is
yeah.
2 points. This happened, yada yada. Like even if that's the case, right or wrong, yeah, they should at least hear him out. He should at least be able to like present his case to them, appeal.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. They're like, no, we don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting if you ask me. I don't know if I like that.
Right. And I think, like I said, I had the opinion that Carlos deserved the penalty during the race, but after looking at it later, I kind of rethought my opinion a little bit and tempered it a little bit there. Um so yeah, definitely not the best look for the FIA to just block him out from having conversations about it. But the next incident of the race was between Charles Leclerc and George Russell. Charles kind of dive bombed the inside line. They have a little bit of contact. There was questions about did Leclerc go off the track or not. They deemed it no penalties. Stayed on the track, gets the position and everything. Um, Unfortunately, all for naught though, with the last big incident of the race between Kimi Antonelli and Charles Leclerc, who Kimi Antonelli um, pretty succinctly took out of the race, putting him to the wall around one of the banked turns. So really tough race for the Ferrari squad. Lewis uh, DNFing as well, but yeah, Charles, after having a pretty nice drive up until that point, just gets Kimi Antonelli just a little too gung ho on warmed up tires and everything as Leclerc's coming out on cold tires out of the pits, and um, sends Charles to his photo shoot for the rest of the race.
Yeah, horrible positioning by Kimi Antonelli in that regard. Toto was quoted as saying, "This year, mistakes like this, all good. He's got to get used to it." But they were saying next year, yeah, we don't want to be seeing stuff like this. So a bit of a critical angle there from the Mercedes team principal. I understand it. I mean, we are like, this is the flip side of me all the time being like, oh, but it's so safe and yada yada. Because a moment like this, it's like, yeah, like he really could have hurt somebody.
Yeah, and it's definitely a tough circuit to drive on. It's a tough circuit to learn for these young drivers, but um, again, I think it was him being just a little too antsy. Like part of that young nature of drivers, I think, is that they don't always have quite as much patience as they should in circumstances, and that's something that you gain from experience. I think he was like, I've got the pace now in these tires, like let's get past Leclerc quick and then try and see if we can move up the field quickly, and just not thinking about where their two different racing lines would cross over.
Right.
Was like, let me take the inside line, and yeah, just wasn't able to hold on through the whole turn. So I think Toto's viewpoint of it is probably what most people should do in this. Like it is a tough and pretty unique circuit with the banking and some of those turns and everything. Of like, hey, he's learning. Like, obviously, we don't want this, but it's a learning moment. But if we continue into next year having that, like, next year learning moments are better be tuned down a bit more. I think that's pretty fair. It is just brutal though for Leclerc and the Ferraris after running in a pretty good position throughout the race um, to end up with the DNF there, especially after Lewis going out with his slippery moment a little bit earlier in the race.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame Kimi Antonelli. He's coming into that corner. Leclerc's all the way up the hill. He's got like a nice little, he's got a shortcut. Like,
it
why wouldn't
had
you
to
take it?
look it had to look
That's what I'm saying.
so free.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
he just didn't do the logarithm. He didn't see like where those routes come together.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, tough one in that regard. Yeah, like you said, puts Leclerc in the dirt. But yeah, tough race in that regard. Like seeing a lot of offs, it does again. Harkening back to some of the other points we were making, it does like mute that competition between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, right? Like
Yeah.
that slows down a little bit in that regard. So just I just want to see some like better racing, especially from like the racers at the top who are gonna be making these events interesting.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Like we've got um there is such a tight competition. Like the last thing we want is to see these things um yeah, get thrown out of whack from things that are not their fault and everything.
Right.
So
Start being decided by DNFs and penalty points.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
we want
And
to see it
so
be decided by like wheel to wheel racing.
yeah. And very tight still in the championship battle. Ferrari still has a 12-point lead on Mercedes there for P2, but I mean with George finishing up there in P4, I mean that cuts that lead that they had of 24 points in half with George picking up 12 points on the weekend. So, um Kimi ends up falling out of the points with penalties, speeding in the pit lane after Lando's DNF. He picks up 2 penalty points for the incident with Leclerc. So yeah, just a tough weekend for the drivers. I mean, we had a little bit of changeable conditions. Just kind of looking over to the rest of the race weekend, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but Lewis, very uncharacteristic error, puts his tires onto the painted surface just as the rain started to come down a little bit, and just slides a bit too high up at the banking on that turn and goes off and loses it into the to the wall there. Just not something you see from Lewis in typically in his career, but he's still just having these struggles with figuring out this Ferrari car and getting a good feel for it. Where something that I think in all of his career he could have easily driven up onto the painted portion there and been able to keep a bit better control. He's struggling to find um those limits, I guess, in the Ferrari car.
Yeah, he had drives in the Mercedes, especially in the 2021, 2020 years where it just felt like he was on rails. It felt like not only the car was listening to him, but like the track was listening to him in some way, just totally whispering the whole event around him, right? He definitely is not able to reach that flow state with the Ferrari. A race like this, is one of those examples. I know they said, they said on the broadcast, with you say Lewis and the rain coming, you expect like, oh, this might be where he levels up, right? But
Yeah.
he just catches and runs out of road. So yeah, tough for Lewis, tough for the Ferraris, to go further on that. So yeah, not what you want to see when you're trying to stay competitive here.
Yeah, and with Lewis as well, he ends up picking up a 5 place grid penalty for the Italian Grand Prix for failing to slow under double yellow flags. So he unfortunately will just continue to not necessarily be in the best position with that 5 place penalty after qualifying this coming week. We'll see where that puts him at for the start, but hopefully at the Italian Grand Prix, there's a little bit more overtaking opportunities for him, and he can um, bring some strong Ferrari spirit to Italy there for the race, and hopefully have a nice weekend out there. But there were this all these incidents throughout the race caused a ton of shakeups. We ended up with the two Aston Martins who went from being near the top during practice sessions to a pretty brutal qualifying, back up into a double points finish there with some of the shakeups. Fernando was complaining all throughout the race every time he pit about being pit into traffic and not being able to have any pace because he's stuck in a DRS train and everything. But still ends up being able to get up into the points just behind his good buddy Lance Stroll there.
Sure. Yeah. Fernando Alonso angry about being put into a DRS train. Also, Fernando Alonso very happy to be the leader of a DRS train.
Oh yeah, 100%. So it's I am I can imagine it's one of the more frustrating things to be in, but yeah, not when you're out front of it. So as long as you can hold people back, um, but yeah, we saw Yuki Tsunoda get his way up into the points, pick up a couple more points there for the Red Bull squad. He's um, still definitely struggling, but the I guess biggest movers: Oliver Behrman going from pit lane to P6, Alex Albon going from P15 up to P5. Two big moves and big point scores for the Williams and Haas team here at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think those are great shouts, especially the Behrman pit lane start. up
Yeah.
into the points. Like that's wild. What you note about that is it's a one stop strategy. You saw a lot of drivers take a two or like depending on who you were, three stop strategy. Obviously, the three stop wasn't trying to win the race. It was just like if you had to come in or whatever. But yeah, Behrman doing the one stop, coming in real late. I'm pretty sure he pitted on lap 53. I think it was like really late in the day. But yeah, that's how he was able to. Yeah, that's how he was able to increase his position. Like every time people are going in, every time there's these restarts, he's just out there just clocking laps. All right, boss, I'm doing it. I'm out here. So yeah, I think the Behrman race was really impressive, bro. Something you said like this must be weeks ago now at this point, but it just as a throwaway, the one time you were like the ever driving Lance Stroll, and I was just cracking up. That kept coming into my head on Sunday, where it's like, my lord, you just show up enough times, something good will happen. And I was just like, man, the ever driving Lance Stroll. Ah, man, you weren't even around, and you just had me cracking up. So yeah, that's a great shout for the Aston Martins as well.
Well, yeah, and especially for Lance after the weekend that he had where he crashes in practice, they get the car put back together for qualifying day. He crashes the car again. They get it put back together for the race and just somehow miraculously makes his way up. He pitted on lap 8 because of early contact and everything. Like he was going through it. And just at the end of the race crosses the line, looks up, and P7, there he is. So yeah, a uh, I don't know, just it worked out for them. Sometimes that's just the way racing goes with all the incidents, the safety cars, pit stops and everything. But yeah, a pretty solid finish for the Aston Martins. Oliver Behrman and Esteban Ocon getting the double points for Haas as well, with Ocon in P10. So yeah, pretty chaotic Dutch Grand Prix this year.
Yeah, and after all those crashes for Lance Stroll, everybody in the garage asked, are you okay? Are you okay? And the only person that he really wanted to call and ask if he was okay was the team owner. But the only person the team owner called was the accountant. How much did this cost?
Yeah, I mean, and I was definitely concerned with the first crash of the weekend because it was in the same spot that Daniel Ricciardo crashed and broke his wrist a couple years ago when he was first coming back
Gotcha.
into V carb. I just remember it so vividly. Oscar Piastri being like crashing there, Ricardo coming around the corner, getting the message a little too late, going in, and that jolt of the steering wheel and the steering column as they hit the wall. Like I imagine that was probably one of their first reactions too from the pit wall to be like, Lance, like, did you break anything? Because that I feel like
Right.
would be not uncommon in that kind of incident. So, um, yeah, tough weekend for the budget, but a decent weekend on points for the team. Picking up and jumping ahead, or actually, I don't know if they jumped ahead of Racing Bulls. I think Hajar's points probably kept them. Yeah, so Racing Bulls jumped them in the standings, now up by 2 points after being down. No, I am looking at everything mixed up. Racing Bulls catching up. They're 2 points behind Aston Martin, P7 to P6 in the standings right now. So a very tight fight in the middle of that midfield pack.
Yeah, still, entering into, what is it, 9 races left now. With the amount of shakeups, I think with how close some of those points are, we can expect those positions to shift around a lot up until the end, honestly.
Yeah, the big move though, Lance now has a 2 point lead on Fernando in the driver's standings.
But
So
that's actually big.
yeah, so I we'll
That's going to
see how
be
that
important. That's
that
going to be
could go down
important
to the
in the
wire.
contract.
Oh yeah, big time in the contract
You know what
negotiation.
I'm saying?
Oh yeah. So the multi-year Lance Stroll contract with no definitive end date. Um, but yeah, the only other big notes I had, and they were Oscar Piastri with just a great weekend overall. He gets the Grand Slam with the pole position, led 100% of the laps, fastest lap, and the race win. He also set a new track record with his P1 qualifying time. So overall, just a extremely clean, strong weekend from Oscar to just put himself in the best position he could for this championship fight with Lando and everything. He gets the kind of good break for him in the standings with that DNF for Lando, but he was already putting himself in a pretty good spot overall for the race weekend.
Yeah, and if I remember seeing the little blurb correctly, or maybe you just said it. This is the first time he's converted the pole to victory, and getting the fastest lap as well. This is the first one.
I believe so. I think it's his first Grand Slam.
Gotcha. That's
So
really
yeah,
exciting.
yeah, and I mean, it's not something you see too frequently anymore. So it's definitely awesome to see, especially with the two of them
Unless you're
like battling it
Max.
out. Well, yeah, I mean, but that was
Yeah,
Max
but
didn't
he's an
have
alien. That's fine.
he didn't have as much of a teammate battle, but with Oscar and Lando being so competitive, like that definitely has shaken things up. I mean, even Checo said it when people were asking him about coming back and everything. He's
Holy
like,
shit.
I mean, I think Hajar just this race scored more points than the second Red Bull seat has had all year. So I mean, Yuki and just anyone else has not been able to put the kind of competition to Max that Lando and Oscar are having. So it wasn't intended to be too much of a knock.
Bro, that's so funny. You're like, yeah, but it was just him out there. What do you mean?
Yeah, there was no second driver. Just put
It's
my
Max in
blinders on.
19 cars.
Oh, 1v19.
There you go. Exactly. But yeah, I didn't have any
Yeah.
final notes here for the race. I think we covered all the headlines. Yo, the only thing I wanted to say, I haven't been in the habit of watching the post race press conference.
Mhm.
I think I just kind of always forget. Uh I watched it this time, and it's so funny to see the difference in energy between the drivers, like after just coming off of a race, and like
Oh
all
yeah.
the other media that they do. Like, it's actually crazy. Obviously they've just won a race, so like you're kind of happy about it. So you factor that in. But yeah, there's just like banter between the two of them. And here's why I'm bringing this up. Cadril said something really important. If you know, like, if you know, you know. Not important, interesting. He said he likes players where you can't tell, are they just the worst person to ever touch a mouse and a keyboard, or are they actually like the Jedi level next coming of the Messiah? Like, they'll make plays that make you question, like, which side of the coin are you actually on. There's like, if you listen to the questions asked in the interview, you get, it sounds like a younger interviewer. He says, I have a twofold question for you. The first one, he asks an actual question. And the second question, he goes, and Isak, can I have a piece of your candy? He literally asked the driver for like candy that's like sitting on the couch that they were all eating. And in my mind, I was like, yo, is that just the worst question you could ever ask somebody? Or is that like, the next level, just the amazing question? And then, and then a Jay-Z lyric popped into my brain. I was like, is that Uchi Wally Wally, or is that one mic? Like, is it just the worst thing you've ever heard? Or is it like just the truth? I was like, how are you going to ask somebody for their candy?
I mean, I don't know. That might be Dutch humor or something because when you see Max, like, and his responses to things, I feel like that's my main basis for Dutch humor. And Max's, it's a very dry sense of humor a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times. Um, so even like I think in the pre-race they were asking, or maybe it was the post-race asking Max, or them all, oh, do you know who won this race? Do you know who finished P2, finished P3? Was that in the post race press conference? Or it might
I
have
don't
been
think that
post
was this one.
qualifying. I think it was post
Okay.
qualifying press conference. And like they're asking Oscar, oh, do you know who won the 1983 Dutch Grand Prix? And Max is sitting there and he's just taking wild guesses. He took a wild guess and like nailed it. And then like asking him more questions, and they're like, oh, Max, do you want to help out with who P2 and P3 were for this race? And Max is just like, I don't care. He's just like very dryly, he's like, it doesn't matter to me at all. Like I don't know it, and I'm not gonna even attempt to. And so that like dryness, maybe that was like, yeah, so like how does it feel to finish this race, finish on the podium, da da da. Can I get a piece of that candy, by the way? Like I think maybe if it was um like done in a more American way, like maybe our humor would have picked up on it, but I imagine that's maybe just some of that Dutch humor. But it is funny to
Bro,
see.
it killed. It killed. The whole room laughed.
That's great. I'm
I,
gonna have to go back and watch it. So yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I might be the idiot for thinking that's like a ridiculous question. That's what I'm saying. I think that's your point where it's like if that's just like understood
Oh yeah.
humor.
It's like I think it could very easily go either way, but the fact that it killed, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah,
So
they all loved it. They're like,
he
"Oh,
knew
that's great."
exactly what he was doing.
So yeah, man, the you know the rate, man, everything about these weekends sometimes is just so fun and funny.
It was great to have Formula One back. I was just loving all the content. The V carb content has they've been pumping out content since the race finished and even after qualifying. But one of my favorites was they did there's a sound on TikTok that it's someone like looking at something and they're like, "Oh, you're coming home with me." And they did that with the P3 trophy and Isaac, but the there were like two hands holding the trophy together, so it looked like it was still a hole
Okay, that's
because
good.
it had broken right in the middle,
That's
between
good.
the handle and the like top of the goblet. So I was like, that was killing me, just knowing that they're holding the two separate pieces.
Hmm.
It looked like slightly off just enough. But yeah, definitely excited for Formula One to be back. We've got the Italian Grand Prix coming up this next weekend, so I'm excited for the race there in Imola. It's gonna be a fun one.
And in case you missed it, the podium was Isaac Hadjar P3, Max Verstappen P2, and Oscar Piastri, winner of the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort.
Yep. So it wraps us out there with the Dutch Grand Prix, but we'll slide on over into the cool down lap for this week. Before we get to our flavor of the week, though, I just wanted to give a mini update again on Justin gave me another album recommendation. I listened to Pabst and Jazz by Asher Roth a few weeks back, so it's not as fresh in my memory, but I enjoyed the album a lot. It had some really good vibes. I like the jazz tones in rap music. Like I similar to some of the Mac Miller stuff that I've really enjoyed. So that was a cool like sound and energy. But I honestly didn't realize that Asher Roth was still like had made music past I Love College back in like 2010, 2009, whatever it was. I was like, when you recommended it, I was very caught off guard. That it I was like, I didn't even know what happened to this guy. So no, it was a fun listen. I very much enjoyed it. So big thumbs up on the recommendation.
Hell yeah, I'm happy to hear it. Yo, that's the best. That's the best where I can hit you out of left field with a beat selection that I know you're gonna love. And you're talking about like, oh, I love listening to, on my vibe, whatever mood that I'm in. We've got that endless summer feeling. The weather has been amazing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit him with something he's got no clue about. Yeah, Paps and Jazz was 2016. So like a
Okay.
decent piece after I Love College. Like I think he really matured his sound a lot.
Yeah, very, very different. But I definitely enjoyed it. So solid album from Asher Roth. But sliding over into the flavor of the week this week, I'll hit you with mine real quick. But Colleen and I went out to an Italian restaurant the other night that we've been to before. We enjoy, and also one thing that I've been trying to do a little bit more. I feel like um I can be very much a creature of habit, and so when I go to a restaurant and I've had something good, I can very easily just fall into like ordering the same thing again and again and never trying the other things on the menu. Even like though in my mind I'm like, I know it's a good restaurant because this other thing I had was good. I'm sure they make other good things, so let me try some out. So I convinced myself to go for something a little different. I went for this pesto basil pasta with burrata on top. It was phenomenal. I previously had they have like a spicy crab pasta, which I had really enjoyed. So um, I was happy to mix it up a little bit and definitely enjoyed that. But um,
What's a burrata?
burrata is like a ball of cheese that's like more solid on the outside, but it's like a little more creamier in the center. So it's
Hell yeah.
yeah, so very good. Like you cut it open over the pasta and the like softer inside parts like spill out a little bit over everything. You can mix it up in. It's very, very good. Um so yeah, it was good that I'm proud of myself for a little bit for venturing out and trying something that I haven't had before because I know that I can be that creature of habit. But for my music this week, during I think it was during this break, but Taylor Swift announced that she'll be doing or releasing a new album. And the reason I bring that up is Colleen and I have been doing some feng shui in our room here at the house, and so we're looking to like rearrange some things, get some new furniture pieces. But one of the things that I really want to do is get our record player, which is currently in our guest room, into its own little space in our bedroom so that we can use it more. We'll have the albums there and all. I ordered the Taylor Swift vinyl for Colleen so that when that album actually releases, like she'll have that. So like if I keep ordering these albums, I have some Mac Miller albums, some older albums, a whole mix and all. So I'm like, I want to have the record player like in a space that we can actually use it and jam a little bit. So yeah, exciting for uh, having that music on vinyl, and then also like just making sure I'm actually listening to it and using it. I like the vinyl sound. Um,
What Mac Miller albums do you have on vinyl?
so I have swimming and circles. I trying to remember. I might have kids. I can't remember if I do or not, but I think those would be it. But I have some old Billy Joel albums too. I've got like few different ones that I have in my collection. Not too big yet, um but yeah, I'm looking forward to adding more and actually like using them.
Oh, for sure.
Um
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, and then my visual medium for this week, Colleen we've had a projector that she's had for a while. We finally got like an actual projector screen that we're able to set up on our balcony or outside or wherever to use that projector. And the biggest reason we hadn't been using it was the tripod had gotten all janky and it wouldn't hold it steady. So I bought us a new tripod for it, for a few bucks off the good old Amazon. But that and the projector screen, we set it up yesterday. We used it to just watch Big Brother on our balcony, which was just kind of fun to be able to use that and use the outdoor space and everything. So, uh, yeah, it's kind of cool to have that, to be able to use for just more versatility around the house, to watch different stuff. So,
Yeah, that sounds really great. Yeah, the idea about like trying an unknown dish at a known restaurant, and that bringing feelings of like, hey, enjoying the meal and being like, oh, like I'm happy I ventured out with that feeling. You said feng shui, the act of what you had described, that's living in Tao, 1 foot in the known, 1 foot in the unknown, and the path in between is the place to be. So I'm happy to hear that. That's very cool. My flavor of the week here. I'm gonna hit you with the wildest thing you've ever heard come out of your mouth or the wildest thing that's ever come out of my mouth for food. I made a honey barbecue chicken with a homemade harissa powder over zucchini with rice and beans.
ooh, that sounds
Yo,
really
doesn't
good.
that? That's what I'm saying. Doesn't that sound like out of like a magazine?
Yeah, it's like sounds like
Exactly.
from like a Mediterranean restaurant, like the harissa chicken and everything. Like I feel like that's I can make a little kava bowl with what you mentioned. So that's a nice meal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. The harissa powder is like really good. I really enjoyed that on the chicken. The way I cooked it up, it had like a nice crisp to it. So yeah, would indeed recommend. So that was great. My music here for the week and for the break, I'll kind of hit you with a little bit of like the flavor. So music that I've been exploring recently is the movie composer Hans Zimmer,
Mm.
and his film scores specifically for Dune. If you've been, if you've been listening to the show, if you've been paying attention at the end, I've been getting into some Villeneuve films, Dune being one of them. What you actually find if you're, reading the credits and paying attention to the people that made the works, he's partnered with Hans Zimmer for a couple of his films, starting in 2017 with Blade Runner 2049, which is
Hmm.
my visual medium here for the week. So they work together on a couple of films now. I believe the Blade Runner film, Dune 1 and Part 2, and I think they're slated to work together on the upcoming film for Dune Messiah. So what I find so wild about a person like Hans Zimmer is they're given a pre-existing world. There's like full source material for the Dune world. There's like character explorations, there's like all sorts of stuff, right? So I think it's crazy to task somebody with creating the soundscape for a whole world. But when done with such care and intention, what you actually find now is like those two are now inseparable. The way
Mm.
like when I think of Lord of the Rings, I think of Peter Jackson and I think of the Howard Shore songs that
Mm.
play in the film, right? So yeah,
Right.
J.R.R. Tolkien gave us the world, but in some ways, other artists like in the future, later in time, were meaningfully able to add to that substrate and that world that becomes like all of the things that you think of. So while I've been reading the Dune novels, I've been putting on the Dune soundtracks, and bro, it is just the wildest experience ever, and it's just so much fun. So yeah, I've just really enjoyed Hans Zimmer's work, specifically with Denis Villeneuve in some of his films that he's done recently. And I'll just continue right in. Blade Runner 2049, wonderful, really, really wonderful film. It's a continuation of the Ridley Scott, which is an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick novel from 1968 called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. And the story is very similar. Have you ever seen Blade Runner, the
I've not,
original?
and so I've actually like Blade Runner 2049, I would definitely I've been intrigued by, like it's been on my list for a bit to watch.
Hell yeah. This, like, if there's ever a recommendation, this is it. I really enjoyed 2049. I actually believe you could enjoy 2049 without seeing the first film. I actually believe that. So yeah, feel free. But yeah, really enjoyed these worlds. And I thought Blade Runner 2049 was a really great and worth a watch. Very I would say what am I getting at? Another hit from the director. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, that's my flavor of the week.
Very cool. Yeah, that's definitely one that I'll have to check out. I might just go back and watch the original Blade Runner as well.
It's
Um,
really good.
but yeah, so some good recs on the week. Um, but that does, of course, wrap out this week's episode for y'all, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen with us, hear us talk about motorsports, F1, all that's going on in those worlds, and then these little glimpses into our lives as well. Yeah, we appreciate you all being a part of it.
Let your friends and family know if they're watching Formula One, they should also be listening to the Tired Boys pod. We're giving you all the angles, we're giving you the twists and turns. But most importantly, we just appreciate you being here. We appreciate you hanging out with us. So thank you very much for spending your time. This has been another episode of the Tired Boys podcast. Peace out, everyone.
See ya.